Good day, everyone. Welcome to our English 160 session. We are Group 7, and for today, we're diving into one of the most powerful poems from the Romantic era. But before we get there, let's start with a little introspection. Our pre-activity is called Messages in the Wind. First, I want you to think about the wind. Reflect on these two questions on your own first. First question, what are the things it destroys or takes away, and the things it creates or brings back? Think about the chaos of a storm, but also the seeds it carries. Second question, if you could use the wind to scatter one message across the world, what would that be? Maybe a message of peace, a warning about climate change, or a plea for societal justice. Next, you'll pair up with a classmate and share your thoughts. I encourage everyone to share their answers in our class GC. Fantastic! Your reflections on the wind as both a force of destruction and a carrier of new life prepare us perfectly for our lesson today. Because today we are exploring one of the most famous works of the Romantic period. It is Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ode to the West Wind. And here is our lesson objective for today. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to analyze the relationship between key symbols and themes in Shelley's Ode to the West Wind. And without further ado, let's proceed to our lesson proper.
Good day, everyone. I am going to discuss the background of Percy Bysshe Shelley. Percy Bysshe Shelley was born on August 4, 1972 in Sussex, England and died on July 8, 1822 at Sea of Livorno, Italy. He was a prominent English Romantic poet known for his passionate search for love and social justice. Over time, his activism transformed into powerful poetic works that are considered among the greatest in English literature. Shelley's literary career was strongly politically oriented. His early works, such as Queen Mab and the Esdile Notebook, as well as The Lawn and Sitna, focused on social reform and challenging injustices. Even in his later poems, like Alastor and Rosalind and Helen, he expressed the struggles of an idealist facing a disappointing and unresponsive society.
Today I will talk about Percy Bysshe Shelley and his life in Italy. When Shelley lived in Italy, he spent his time writing about art and literature. He wanted to change the world, but he realized it was not easy to do. So instead, he shared his ideas and dreams through poetry. He hoped that his poem would inspire young people in the future to make a difference. Later in his life, Shelley felt lonely and far from others. Because of this, he started to write about love in a different way. For him, love was something beautiful but hard to reach, something people dream of but cannot easily have. So, in short, Shelley used poem to express his feeling and inspire others to dream and create change.
So now, let's talk about Percy Bysshe Shelley as one of the most important poets in Romantic period. So Percy Bysshe Shelley lives from 1792 to 1822. He was a major English Romantic poet known for his rebellious spirit, his strong imagination, and his constant pursuit of ideal love and freedom. So this means he didn't just follow what society expected. He wanted to explore life, emotions, and truth in his own way. So Shelley was born into a wealthy family, but instead of living a simple, privileged life, he chose a path of creativity and deep thinking. From a young age, he already showed signs of being imaginative and passionate about learning and expressing himself. His works reflected the main romantic ideals, emotions, individuality, imagination, and defiance against social norms. He believed poetry should come from the heart and express through human feelings rather than just follow rules or tradition. And lastly, even though Shelley lived a short life, his poetry remained powerful and influential. His friendship with other writers, especially Lord Byron, helped spread his ideas. So Shelley's passions, imagination, and courage to stand by his belief left a lasting impact on English literature. So in summary, Percy Bysshe Shelley teaches us that true art comes from being brave enough to think freely, to feel deeply, and to express ourselves honestly.
Now, let's delve into the poem Ode to the West Wind by Percy Bysshe Shelley. So, for its overview and form, Shelley wrote this poem in 1819. It is a prime example of romantic poetry focusing on nature and the spirit of revolution and change, viewing the poet as a prophet. The poem is a Pindaric ode with 5 parts or sections. Each section has 4 terza rima tercets, meaning there are 3 line stanzas, and then a concluding couplet, a 2-line stanza. And then the rhyme scheme uses interlocking rhymes, ABA, BCB, CDC, DED, capped by a rhyming couplet, EE. So now, let's try to analyze the poem per part or per canto. In the poem, the speaker powerfully addresses the west wind as an invisible, massive force, the very breath of autumn's being. In stanza 1, the speaker addresses the west wind, describing it as the breath of autumn's being, a destroyer that drives dead leaves and seeds, yet also a preserver that buries seeds to be resurrected by spring. This establishes the wind's dual power of destruction and creation. Meanwhile, in stanza 2, the wind is shown sweeping the sky's clouds and stirring the surface of the ocean and Mediterranean Sea. Its power is vast and pervasive, felt in the heavens and the deep sea, symbolizing a force that affects all elements and life. In stanza 3, it shifts focus to the power over the water. The speaker invokes the west wind, describing its effect on the Mediterranean Sea, which awakens from its summer dreams. The wind also cleaves the Atlantic's waves, opening deep palaces and towers and also causing the sea vegetation to tremble. The wind is portrayed as an overwhelming, terrifying force that penetrates the deepest parts of nature. While in stanza 4, the speaker shifts to a personal plea. He wishes he were as free and powerful as the wind, a dead leaf, a swift cloud or a wave. He yearns for the wind's strength to lift him out of his sorrow, acknowledging that his past childhood strength has gone. In stanza 5, the speaker makes his ultimate request. He asks the west wind to make me thy lyre, meaning to use him as an instrument to spread his words. He wants the wind to drive his dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves, awakening the world. The poet seeks to become a prophet of change. The final couplet contains the poem's central optimistic message. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? That means that the west wind, as a destructive and creative force, promises a renewal of the natural and political world. So now that I've explained the meaning of all parts of the poem, I'm still encouraging everyone to read the entirety of it for better understanding and comprehension. The poem is rich in literary devices that enhance its themes of nature's power and the poet's desire for change. Some key techniques include personification, which is giving human qualities to the wind. For example, O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being. It is given the human attribute of having breath. Second is imagery. The vivid descriptions such as yellow and black and pale and hectic red to visually represent the dying leaves. Next is symbolism. The wind is a symbol for the spirit of revolution and change. And the final line's spring symbolizes renewal and hope. Lastly, it includes metaphor, comparing two unlike things like make me thy lyre, where the poet asks to be an instrument played by the wind. In conclusion, in the last part of the poem, Shelley asks the mighty west wind to take over his life and poetry, saying, make me thy lyre, like a musical instrument. He wants the wind's power to flow through him. He asks the wind to blow his poems, his withered leaves, all over the world to start new ideas and change. He also wants his writing to be a trumpet of a prophecy, announcing a better future. The poem ends with a hopeful question. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? This means that just as the cold, hard winter always leads to life and warmth in spring, he believes that the current hard times and also the suffering will surely lead to a time of freedom and new beginnings, just like spring. So I believe that ends our lesson. Do you have any questions? If you do, please do not hesitate to ask for clarifications about the lesson. Now let's have our post activity titled Thematic Symbol Scramble. Your task is to match each symbol in column A with its corresponding theme in column B. Write the letter of your answer in a 1/4 sheet of paper. Second, and this is the most important part, you need to explain your choices. Write a brief explanation for why that symbol represents that specific theme. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and for listening to our reporting all about Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ode to the West Wind from the Romantic Period. I hope you've learned a lot from this session. Thank you and goodbye.